good evening, Denver Broncos fans. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup, and golly, we just couldn't stay away, Albert. Man, I had the nerves of a teenager before his first game. As I was going to sleep last night, started thinking about it. We just couldn't stay away. We had to get in here. We need to talk a little Denver Broncos, little Raiders, matchup, mix up, you name it. Welcome to the show, Albert. Man, what do you got for us, bud?
Well, it's within 24 hours. I think we have a finish of a game and hopefully a big victory over the Raiders.
Yes, absolutely, man. I'm going to go on here, and I think one of the first things I'm going to do is eat just a little bit of crow. On our last broadcast, everyone was asked by Kenny Kirkpatrick over at the K&K Sports Show. Check those guys out. Great sports show. Cover all your sports, East Coast to West Coast. So if you're looking for a little something outside the Colorado flavor, it's the go-to show. But Kenny asked us, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this game against the Raiders? And do you recall your answer, Dutchy?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I do.
Yeah, I remember it was high, but go ahead.
For me, it was a 9.
A 9.
Because it is a must-win. We have lost 6 consecutive games against the Raiders, and if we have a nice win over the Raiders, it also is a bigger morale for all the Broncos fans.
Yeah. You guys stated some great cases. Oh, by the way, anybody who's chiming in and tuning in and hoping to find Jody. Well, Jody's got, a little kid with a birthday tonight, so, we're giving him the night off. And happy birthday to Jody's kid, Jody's daughter, and hope they're having a fantastic time, cutting up the cake, blowing out the candles, all that good stuff. So Jody's missing, but funny enough, Kenny is here, and I'll get to my part of why I need to eat a little crow after this. He says, "Evening, gentlemen. Nice treat. Nice treat. I'm working on a Saturday night to see the two of you. I hear Jody is going through a pep talk with Russell Wilson." Well, he would be the guy because he's certainly got the enthusiasm behind Russell Wilson. That's for sure. So, also got Jeremy coming in here and saying, "What's up, fellas? Go Broncos and Buffs." Yes, those Colorado Buffaloes continue to seem to knock it out of the park. Going up against Nebraska today. Looked a little shaky early. Funny thing is, I saw tweets going out as I was at work saying, "Oh no, look at the Buffs, right back where they belong." Boy, they put it on the heat, and they put it on down the stretch, and they beat Nebraska, so congratulations to them as well. Excuse me. And we got Michelle Noppers coming in saying, "Evening, gents. Tomorrow is almost here. Let's blow them out of the water." Boy, wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be just a gorgeous, gorgeous sight to see just like a 42-0 type of score to start the season? And this will get me back to me eating crow here in just a second, and Albert maybe being a little bit more on track with what I should have been and my tally versus Kenny's answer on rating the Broncos' importance of this Raiders game. But we got Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, "Good evening, Keith and Albert," giving us the blue and orange hearts, man. Go Broncos, beat the Raiders, go Broncos. Absolutely, Michael, man. When I first got in here, I was saying, man, tossing and turning last night. Albert, I know that you played sports in your past. I played sports in my past. That night before, that nervous anticipation, butterflies in your stomach, going through all the plays in your head, just can't even sleep. That's what every single one of these Denver Bronco players are going through. Maybe even some of the coaches as well, as we get ready. Again, game night before it's game night. It's the night before the game. The game. And so getting back to me eating a little bit of crow, buddy. Not only is this important, just as you said, getting the streak in the past, getting those 6 games, that 6 consecutive losses to the Raiders in the past, right? Getting the morale of the team in the right place, right? Getting the morale of the fans, back in, where they should be, where we all want to be. I think we're all kind of tiptoeing around with a little bit of trepidation these days. You know, it's been a tough few years. It's tough to really get behind your team. You know, get excited. That 42-0 would do it. I guarantee you that. That being said, that blow them out of the water, Michelle. I like that idea. I gave this game an importance level of 3 when it came to Kenny's answer, saying that, hey, we have Sean Payton. Sean Payton can right this ship. It doesn't matter if we lose a game early. You know, we can get back on track. We have the right coaching. We have the right player mindset now. Not the player mindset of, years past. But I did some listening. I did some thinking. And this is the big thing right here. This is the Raiders, and this is a rival. And what happened to start the season, Albert? What happened to start the season? Lions versus Chiefs.
Yep. Oh, and this is so wonderful for me because I live in
yes, you do.
In the Chiefs kingdom, and all the Chiefs fans were quiet. So that is a really, really nice thing. And tomorrow, we don't want to have an upset. We don't want the Raiders to take over of the Broncos. And that is why this is a must-win.
Yeah.
To shut their mouths and let them to be quiet for once and get their bravado a little bit stepped on.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like the Josh McDaniels years have been, beautiful and bountiful for the Las Vegas Raiders as it's been as of yet. But you're right. We can't let these guys sneak back in. This is, from all projections, a game that we should win. From Vegas to the fan bases, you name it, this should be a win for the Denver Broncos. We can't let this slip out of our hands. And even furthermore, we don't get the opportunity of the Chiefs being 0-1. You know how many times Patrick Mahomes, as a starter, has started off the season with a loss?
Pretty much all of his.
Never. Oh. He has never started off the season with a loss.
Oh.
Believe it or not. He's also, up until this game, never thrown an interception in the opening game. So we're in a very, very, very unique position to be possibly the only team at the top, because we get to knock off the Raiders if we win, and then it's just all up to whether the Chargers win or lose. We could be sitting at the top of the AFC West come the end of this Sunday, and man, what a position to be in, sitting at the very top. I rated it way too low, and I didn't take everything else into account. I didn't take into account all the other teams, and I didn't even take into account that this was an AFC West division game. And I know that your good friend Charlie Weiss over on SiriusXM is not your good friend, Albert, necessarily, the way he talks. But he brought up a good point, because he said the other day, he was making a point of this. All these teams that come in and say, well, the first game or two, it's really just an extension of the preseason. It doesn't really matter that much. We'll have our team together and working well when it comes along. Well, you can't afford to lose to the Raiders, especially in the division. And what if, I don't even care if it's the Raiders, what if it's just another AFC opponent to where it comes down to a game or a playoff decision and it comes down to records, and you lost to the Cleveland Browns, you lost to the Texans, you lost to the Patriots. Hey, that's the loss that matters, and now the other team's punching their ticket and they're going in. That would be devastating if it was the Raiders, and you could look back at this game and say, we lost it. Albert, hats off to you. Much better done in our last episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup when you came in with a level 9 on how important this game is. And I'd love to get everyone else's ideas, but I'm changing. I'm on my big swing in it from all the way from 3. I'm going to ratchet this all the way up to an 8. I think 9s and 10s are like, playoff stretches. You know that this is a must-win game type of situation. I still think you still have that rebound capability, but I'm going to bring it up to an 8. Albert, feel free. talk about the importance of this game, and then I want to get into some of the matchups too. I know that we hit it a little bit before on Tuesday, but it's the night before the game. Let's get into some matchups as well. But golly, man, how important is this game? Sound off a little bit more if you want, and then we can maybe bring up your biggest matchup or what you're really looking at in this game, man. What do we need to see in this game? And I'll let you take all of that for a second. I'm going to get off the mic.
Okay, so one of the things I think is we know that Josh McDaniels is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. We know this. And Hackett losing from Josh McDaniels, that already proves to me that Hackett was even worse than Josh McDaniels. And now with this game, Sean Payton can show really what Josh McDaniels is. And that's why that's why one of the reasons this is a 9 for me as well. That what we had last year, of course, our offense was bad, but at least 30% or 40% of the offense last year had to do with coaching. And now we have a new head coach, and we saw it with the game against the Rams. We have now a team that can compete for the playoffs, and that's why if you win this first game, to me that the whole motivation of an entire team changes.
Yeah,
we already see that we are creating a winning environment. That if we win, and it doesn't have to be a big win, it doesn't have to be double digits, but if we win this game against the Raiders after 6 consecutive losses, I think we will see a complete different team. Even next week, we will see a different team if we
flipping
win.
Flipping the
Absolutely.
switch right there. Yeah. Jeremy coming in here says division rival plus the Raiders, it equals a 10. It equals a 10 in his mind. So, and I don't blame him, man. Hey, like I said, I completely flipped. I was looking more at just how this team is constructed and what we're capable of. We're going to hit losses. We're not going to go 17-0. I guarantee that. And there's going to be times that, hey, you got to rely on those coaches to, flip their minds from that loss, truly say just take a day to decompress from it. We come back in the next day, it's on to the next week, and truly be able to do that and perform at a high level. And I think we have the coaching to do that. That being said, week 1, Raiders, division rival. I'm going an 8. I understand 9s and 10s. I get it completely. Michael Ronquillo's coming in here with one of his favorite matchups to start maybe the season, the one that he's going to be watching the most. Could see this guy kind of flip from one side of the field to the other. But when Max Crosby is lined up against Mike McGlinchey, that's the one that Michael Ronquillo's checking out, man. What do you think about Max Crosby versus Mike McGlinchey, man? This is what we were looking at, man. I mean, Mike McGlinchey, a little bit more of that run power type of guy. Max Crosby can certainly be that guy that blows up plays on the rush. And by the way, Max Crosby plays better against the Broncos than any other team by far. I forget the statistics, but it's outstanding. It's just an anomaly almost. So, talk about the matchup, bud.
Yeah, this matchup, and I think it's not just Mike McGlinchey. I believe that our linebackers and then Jewell and Singleton and Drew Sanders are going to line up towards Max Crosby as well.
Max Crosby. Max Crosby is defensive lineman for the Raiders.
Yeah. Sorry.
He's talking about that Max Crosby, going up against that Mike McGlinchey. Max Crosby also could be going up against Garrett Bowles too. So that's the other side of it if he flips.
Or Jonathan Cooper.
Well, Jonathan Cooper is on our defense. Max Crosby's on their defense.
Yep.
So they'll never match up on the field. I understand. Sometimes we get a little bit flustered when all the names are coming at us. So
I have Josh Jacobs in mind.
Oh, very good. Yeah, Max Crosby, pass rusher extraordinaire, the guy who just eats up the Denver Broncos. It seems like every year he's in the league. he's going to be going up against McGlinchey. He might be going up against Garrett Bowles too. How do you
Uh,
feel? You know Mike McGlinchey. You know Mike McGlinchey and how he's more of a run blocker. Garrett Bowles is coming back from that injury. What are you thinking there, buddy?
yeah, that's going to be a very nice matchup to see. Mike McGlinchey it should be capable of uh, taking a hold of Max Crosby. Not literally holding,
Let's hope not.
no. But here's the thing: we also have Troutman, Manhurts,
Mm-hmm.
so double teaming Max Crosby. I see that coming pretty much every snap.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit, what we expect this scheme to look like. And I think that'll help eliminate a Max Crosby. Also, Max Crosby loves to get upfield, so you can sneak some things in back behind Max Crosby pretty easy, too. I think we figured that out late in the year last year when we were pretty competitive down the stretch. But I'm going to hit the
But
comments. I'm looking off to the side here a little bit, too, buddy. Go ahead.
oh, I'm getting a pass. Yeah,
Okay, yes, you
but,
are.
but
Look at. I'll hit this pass. I'll hit that real quick since you brought it up. Kenny chiming in on Facebook, guys. I know sometimes the way Facebook comes up and it's StreamYard, there is a link to say, hey, you can allow your name to be on here. It's pulling your name off of Facebook. If nothing else, do like Kenny did. Drop your name in the front, and that way we know. He says, Kenny, it's a late Saturday night. Dutchie gets a pass. A little bit later for Dutchie than it is for me,
see,
so that's
see,
absolutely true.
I got a little confused by the Broncos killer because the real Broncos killer is Josh Jacobs.
Can be.
He's been titled in many areas the Broncos killer because that's what he does. When he is on the field, he has the biggest pass of rushing yards on every game with the Broncos. Every time. So he is considered the Broncos killer.
On the other side, I just want to say this real quick. Max Crosby, like 2/3 of his sacks come against the Broncos.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Go ahead though.
So and that's where I was confused. Max Crosby, I'm really looking forward to that matchup with McGlinchey, and like I said, Crosby is going to get double teamed, and maybe even triple teamed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities in this offense, and I'm going to get into it. I think at least in a moment here. I want to get to your thoughts, my thoughts, everyone's out there. Comments, guys, I appreciate it so much. We got to get caught up. Want to get your thoughts on this as well, though. Gotta love Clayton coming in here. Clayton is coming in and saying, hey, guys, smash the like button and share, guys. And, man, I tell you what, there's nothing more than we like more than that. From us, we're trying to we want to be out here. We're not trying. We want to be out here. We are out here for you guys. Head off to training camp for you guys. We're out here every Tuesday night for you guys. And, man, we want to get more of you, people like you, on board with us, on board with the show. So, yeah, if you can share, get more Broncos fans in here, man, we appreciate it a ton, and we appreciate you, Clayton, as well. So, also coming in here, and make sure I'm getting everything lined up. He says, PS2 going to shut down Adams and man-to-man and bring down our safeties, blitz our linebackers, baby. All night long, baby. Then on the ground, pound, baby, play action. And Russ is going to use his legs as well. 25-ish rushing yards. Clayton, I like your thoughts, man. It's going right into some of these schemes that we're talking about. Coming in here right after that saying, let's go. Absolutely, guys. So, go ahead, buddy.
I think that Russ will have closer to 50 yards of rushing.
Oh. The one thing that, we need to keep all our stats into account. We're not going to go for 800 yards in a game. But at the same time, this team was so stifled last year. So stifled. It was tough to try to project a wide receiver ever going over 100 yards. It was tough to project a running back ever going over 100 yards. Obviously, it was tough even trying to get Russ over 61% completion because that was not his average last year. So you put all these pieces and parts together. If we're clicking, stats will come.
Yeah,
And 25 yards, 50 yards, who knows what's possible in this offensive scheme.
and here's the thing. They wanted Russ to be a pocket passer, a pocket player, but Russ is not a pocket player. Russ is not a Drew Brees. Russ is Russ. And what is he good in? Scrambling, getting the rushes in, and being surprise running back. That is what Russ is really good in. And now with Sean Payton, maybe the 5 yard pass, let's do it. 2-3 seconds of the ball, be gone with it.
Yeah.
That didn't happen last year.
No.
It was not played towards Russell's strengths, the schemes.
No.
And I think we have now a coach who does that.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to love this. Clayton's coming in here and says, if that's cool, I would like some swag from you guys. Wow, man. I think that's our first swag request, Clayton. I love that. Haven't put a whole lot of thought into it, but definitely will. And if we get more interest, if anybody else is interested in some DBR swag, some Rocky Mountain Sports Network swag, let me know. Maybe we should put some stuff together, make it available to you guys, and maybe have a giveaway or two as well. So, Clayton, appreciate the thoughts on that. Michael Ronquillo says, just talking about the stats, what's possible, what could pile up, and this would be what a comeback story this would be. He says, I have running back Javonte Williams with 100 yards with 2 rushing touchdowns against the Raiders. Like I said, can't have 800 yards. You've already given 50 yards rushing to Russell Wilson, possibly. Albert, I'm going to take a little drink of my coffee. You're going to talk about what Javonte Williams is capable of in this game. And, hey, should we limit him? Should he have, quote-unquote, a pitch count in this game? And what does that look like in your mind?
I think that Javonte should have indeed a Pookie. Should have at least a limit count. Maybe 15 snaps max, and let's see what it goes from there. That knee is still recovering. So I would give him a snap count. I'm not sure if they're going to do it because we know Javonte, if he is rushing 110%. So I don't think if it matters if you put him on a snap count, because he will even be more aggressive in those 15 snaps.
He's going to get the most out of it. I definitely, that's a good call out. You see how he is. If you told him, hey, we're going to only give you 10 snaps.
And
what are you going to expect him to run like in those 10 snaps? All gingerly? Tiptoeing behind the line? No.
He's going to get even more aggressive. Yeah, even at 90% Pookie, I think he is a top 5 to top 7 running back. So
that's fair.
So give him 100%, 15 snaps. He could make 100 rushing yards because our O-line is much improved. It's much better, and they can create gaps. We saw that with Jaleel McLaughlin. How many areas had he where he had a gap?
Wow.
And it is possible.
Yeah.
I can see 200 rushing yards from this team tomorrow.
All right. If you're going to give me, I'm going to lead right into it then. If we have 200 rushing yards, how many passing yards are going to give to this offense then too? Again, can't go for 800 yards. So this will put it all into context. And we can kind of, divvy it out from there. You know what I mean? We already given 50 rushing yards to Russell. So that leaves roughly about 150 behind the other 3 running backs we have on this roster. Outside of maybe a wide receiver getting involved in a running play and stuff like that. So that being said, passing yards, what do you think we get out of this team?
I can see 200 passing yards, 200 rushing yards, and 200 passing yards. Pretty even. We will see way more rushing plays than passing yards. But when we get the passing yards, it will be big plays.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about it, man. When you're that focused on the rushing attack, you're bound to open up those passing lines. They're bound to start getting that man-on-man coverage. You're bound to start getting maybe some of that zero coverage like we kind of saw in preseason from some of our counterparts that went up against us because you want to stop that run.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's consequences for that, and we saw that in the preseason. It plays true in the regular season as well, guys. So, again, just getting caught up. Michael Ronquillo said Russell Wilson needs 34 rushing yards to 5,000 rushing yards in his NFL career. He'll become the third quarterback in NFL history with 5,000 rushing yards. Wow, man. We got Mike, the stat Ronquillo coming in for us. I appreciate it. Man, I think that's just one of the things that you have to push for then in game one as well. Just get it out of the way. Get that get that accolade right in game one and move on too.
And here's the thing: if that happens tomorrow, if he gets those 34 rushing yards, and I can see why not. Why it wouldn't happen. Guess what? Russell Wilson is for once not in negative publicity.
Yeah, I mean he's still going to have his haters.
He will have his haters.
He still has his haters. I mean but yeah, as things get better, if you get a win in game one, if Russell Wilson passes 5,000 yards and becomes one of three to do that, try to come on Monday morning and start talking bad about Russell Wilson. He would have to have a terrible game otherwise.
Yep.
In order for that to hold any water, to hold any value in anybody's mind. So good luck with that. I would love to see that. A win, go over that stat. Thanks again, Michael. That's fantastic. So I like this. Kenny Keeps It Light. They used to have a little segment on theirs where they'd have on one of their shows over at the K&K Sports Show too, where they had all these little lighthearted questions. I remember, I think it was top 10 candy bars one time that they were asking. Top 10 or who's your biggest movie crushes? Yeah, it's a lot of good fun. But he has a different type of fun question. It's more game related. And so Kenny from the K&K Sports Show coming in and saying, fun question, do either of you have any pre-game superstitions or things you do before game time? Me, it's the same shirt for each game until a loss. Wow. I think I had more superstitions when I was playing. I have superstitions in other parts of my life, but believe it or not, I don't think I have a pregame superstition. Dutchie, do you have anything that you're like, got to wear my favorite hat or, got to pull out those Denver Bronco underoos or anything like that?
No, I do not. The only thing that I have is wearing a jersey. At least wearing something Broncos. That is one of my things. There's one game I did not wear anything and we lost.
Oh, so there you go.
So it does if we lose or not. But if we lose, it is not because I was not wearing any Bronco gear.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Like I said, superstitions in other parts of my life, but believe it or not, that's not the way I roll. Now, that being said, maybe this is the reason why. If my older sister, Leanna, who sometimes jumps in the comments and watches from time to time, not in here tonight, but that's all good. Busy lives we all do have. So, that being said, if she could have caught a picture of me, I believe it was probably Denver Broncos versus San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. I put on every piece of Bronco clothing article I had available to me. I had my sweats on, I had my jacket on, my stocking cap, my socks, my scarf. I mean, I was a Broncos fan back then, so I was pretty well decked out. I didn't have much beyond that, but I was decked out from top to bottom, only to be sweating through what was an ugly loss. So, that being said, maybe that's why I'm no longer like Albert and making sure that I don my Broncos, gala, be dressed head to toe like I once was. Maybe it backfired so badly on me at that point. So, Michael Ronquillo just giving us that exact stat, 4,966 rushing yards. Getting in here as well, Travis Johnson. And I don't know if I've ever seen Travis in here, and so I appreciate Travis joining in here, being part of the Denver Bronco Roundup. He's coming in here and he says, I believe Russ will go for 250 plus, and we rush for about 120 yards total. But tomorrow is an A, and A is all about Russ and Peyton. I'm getting primetime and buff vibes. Adams will have a decent game, but not explode. Garoppolo is a turnover machine once you apply pressure to him, and I believe our D will force at least 3 turnovers. We win 31-20. Wow. Great breakdown, Travis, and I like everything that you said there. Along those lines, for anybody that wants to, just absolutely read a fantastic article on exactly how we could beat the Broncos, dropped it right into the comments right now. This is a nice little article by Albert himself. Thanks, Albert, man. That's a fantastic read. We've been hitting a lot of your points as we've been going through the night. A lot of our fans have been hitting a lot of the points. So, fans, check it out. You're right on line with Albert on what we need to do in order to read, to win this game. And Travis, you're one of those. He brings it up. You bring up a couple of points as well. Garoppolo being a turnover machine once you apply pressure to him. Talk about that, Albert.
Here's one more thing. Because Sean Payton and Russ, they know about what that record could be, the 5,000. And Sean Payton will make that happen. Because he wants those personal victories. And so Sean Payton, if he can accommodate that to get Russ those 34 yards, he will.
Yep.
And that
I agree, buddy.
And yes, we have seen last year with Garoppolo, with the Niners, that if you put a little bit pressure on him, and if he, even if they are on their own 10-yard, he will run back into their own end zone. We saw that. Yeah. And so that we had what they call a safety, right? The 2-point score and safety. Yeah, that will happen.
Wow.
The Garoppolo Jimmy is not, when under pressure, he is not one of the weaker quarterbacks. So if they put pressure on him, he will make a lot of mistakes. We might even see a switch in QBs if that happens too much.
Yeah, that would be a quick pull. Aiden O'Connell, not obviously. I mean, maybe the future for the Raiders. I don't think that's anything they want to go to right away. Game 1, I think you mire through a Garoppolo loss, no matter how bad it is. You go home and you lick your wounds. But let's face it. I mean, when you bring in Frank Clark, one of the best pass rushers in the league, been there with Seattle, been there with the Chiefs, and he gets beat out. He's not top dog on the roster. That's because your 7th-round pick in Jonathan Cooper is just playing lights out all throughout training camp, all throughout preseason. And now you're talking about Jonathan Cooper, you're talking about Randy Gregory, you're talking about Nick Benito, you're talking about Frank Clark. I almost said Frank Thomas for some reason. Frank Clark, I mean, the pass rushers galore are just amazing. And hopefully that frees up those interior guys. I always thought that DJ Jones was much better on the interior when we saw him with San Francisco. Well, why? Well, when you have a guy like Joey Bosa sitting on the outside, that he takes a little bit of attention, frees up a little bit of space on the interior. A guy like DJ Jones can get pushed up the field a little bit, not get double teamed as much, and all of a sudden you're getting interior pressure. If we can get Jimmy G on the run, like you said, great article. Check it out, everyone. But if we can keep Jimmy G on the run, if we can apply pressure, who knows what's possible? George coming in here saying no Melvin Gordon, we win. There's a very good. A great point to that, man. You look at the way we started off this season last year, and boy, the finger pointing towards Melvin Gordon happened pretty early, and rightfully so. Guy couldn't keep a hold of a ball, and it had been 2 years in a row that we've been struggling with it. Didn't bring him back. Headed off to Baltimore. Couldn't make the cut, though. And last I heard, he was on the streets. So
5 fumbles in 2 games.
Amazing, right? I mean, Amazing. And yet, if I remember right, we came back and Hackett named him the starter because he wanted to keep his confidence up. Maybe sometimes you
Yep.
just have to part a little ways. Um, Getting to Kenny again. Kenny's just bringing the questionnaire, so I like this. One more lighter side rapid fire question: if you could play one game for the Denver Broncos, what position would you play, and what number would you wear? Thanks, guys, for answering my lighter side questions. Love that. And we already had one. Kenny's coming in saying tight end and number 80. So there's that. So what position, what number would you wear, buddy?
So I would wear number 1. That was the number I was when I was playing soccer and on pretty high level. I was the goalie, and number 1 was my number. So whatever team I went, number 1 was my number.
There you
And
go.
there's 2 spots I think I could play on a very, very high level, and I could play quarterback.
Mm,
Um, if I can throw a soccer ball 50 yards
yeah.
or a baseball 240 feet,
Okay.
and so they have clocked me with a baseball over 95 miles an hour,
Oh my goodness, Albert.
and I can throw a
What are
ball.
you doing sitting here talking to us? Anyway, keep going.
I can throw a 16-pound bowling ball at 28 miles an hour.
There you go.
So I have a pretty decent arm, and as a goalie, I also was not afraid of getting hit. So if I got hit, if I would be a quarterback and would get hit, it wouldn't phase me.
Michelle coming in, giving her hubby the praise, saying sincerely, he could have been a QB. Here's the gal that lives with him every single day. She knows. She knows. How tall are you, Albert?
I'm 6'5".
Oh my goodness. You're like the
Peyton
Brock
Manning.
Osweiler, the Paxton Lynch that we all always wanted. Not the ones that we got, the ones we always wanted. The guy with the cannon arm
Mm-hmm.
and the 6'5" stature.
Yep.
Goodness gracious, Albert. And hey, being in soccer, I imagine you got a decent set of legs underneath you as well.
I did and is I think the 100 yards
Mm-hmm.
in full military gear in 14 seconds.
Okay then.
But
Okay.
without gear, I did it in low tens.
100 yards, low
100
tens.
yards. Yep.
Yeah, Dutchy is pulling quarter mile times in the 100-yard dash. my quarter mile times in my car, 100 mile. He's getting 100 yards in the dash. Wow. Matt, you're getting a lot of accolades in here. Kenny's coming in here and saying, "Wow, incredible, Dutchy." He said you should have sent your tape to the Broncos instead of us going through Paxton Lynch, Teddy Bridgewater. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Dutchy. Goodness gracious, we need
See,
walk-ons again. We need
see,
walk-ons.
see. And a lot of people think that I have no clue, but I know why wide receivers do not catch the ball, because
Yeah,
that one split second they take the focus off the ball because they might get hit or something like that, and that is where they lose it. You have to keep focusing on that ball, because if you don't, yeah, as a goalie, that's what I had to do all the time.
there you go, man. Had it all, man. Hand-eye coordination, had the speed, has the arm. Man,
Athleticism.
athleticism in another dimension, in another time, in another I don't know, whatever it
Country.
happens to be. Maybe Albert is the Broncos quarterback that leads us to Super Bowl after Super Bowl. You never know. Just another reality. There you go. Another reality. Um, Kenny, to answer your question, and since we spent so much time on what I didn't even know, the incredible stats of one Albert Mile High Dutchy, I'll give you a shorter answer. I was a big fan of this guy growing up, and he wore number 77 for the Denver Broncos.
Carl
Yep,
Mecklenburg.
Carl Mecklenburg. Yep. Now, don't get me wrong. I had a lot of favorites along that line, but the reason I'm going to wear number 77 And the reason I picked that is because even though Karl Mecklenburg might have been a defensive end, he played every position along the defensive line and linebackers at some point in his career as a starter. So Karl Mecklenburg was just the White Rhino, just an amazing athlete to me, to be so transformative and be a wrecking ball from almost any position on the defensive line. I played defensive line when I was younger and loved the position. And boy, to be Karl Mecklenburg, to wear that 77, yeah, I'll take it. That's my answer, Kenny.
It is a shame that he has never been nominated for the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah, there's a few guys on those Broncos. That's a whole nother episode, man. We could go into the Simon Fletchers because he's another guy that I just absolutely loved. And for his career, the sacks that he just absolutely totaled up in this league. But you're going up against the same guys at the same time as guys like Lawrence Taylor. So, you don't get the accolades. And you're certainly in Denver, so you don't get the accolades as well. So, that all being said, man, what great questions. We'll have to wrap this back around that was a rapid fire that went way, way, way long. I wanted to hit this really quick. We've been on here for about 45 minutes. We'll stay on for another 10 or so, Albert, and then we'll get on out of here. Let Albert get some sleep, man. He's one time zone away from me, so he's already an hour behind most of us in Broncos country. So,
no worries.
All right. Well, I appreciate Albert always staying up late with us, and appreciate all of you guys out there staying up late for us. Man, like I said, comment board has been fantastic. I want to talk just a little more about the scheme because a lot of it made about what it might look like from the Denver Broncos offense perspective, from Sean Payton coming in, from Sean Payton fixing Russell Wilson to Sean Payton, bringing in former Saints and filling in this roster. And I'm not sure if it's me that's dropped out or Albert that's dropped off, but we certainly seem like we are having some technical difficulties. I'm going to continue on just in case. This offense, at the very beginning, a lot of people were saying, hey, this offense is going to be very Sean Payton-esque. And when people were thinking it was Sean Payton-esque, they think of Drew Brees and receivers and big bomb passes going all over the place. But we need to remember exactly how this team was built and maybe what we'll see on Sunday. We brought in big offensive linemen that are big in the running game. We brought in Ben Powers. We brought in Mike McGlinchey. We brought in guys like Adam Troutman and Chris Manhertz, who Albert was talking about a little bit earlier, and maybe helping with a Max Crosby. This team is going to be absolutely predicated off of the run game, and I think there's going to be a lot of pulling, and there's going to be a lot of action that's going to go along with that, because that's something that Sean Payton is big on. He likes to have guys moving in that backfield. It's not a set backfield. It's not just line up and go. And to that point, another big piece that is in Albert's fantastic article over on Rocky Mountain Sports Network right now. We dropped it in the comments a little bit earlier, but check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network and check out his article. But coaching, the coaching, in order to get a guy like Russell Wilson to the line of scrimmage in time for him to survey the defense, bring a guy in motion, see if they're in man, see if they're in zone, maybe get a little tell here and there, is possible this year. It's not only possible, it's going to be expected. I mean, I saw it time and time again in training camp. Man, those guys broke those huddles, and those coaches were yelling and screaming at those guys, go, 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 go. You do not have time to meander out of that huddle and get to the line of scrimmage. We want to get up there. We want to have 15, 16 seconds on that clock to where we can actually dictate what we're going to do. What a difference that is in and of itself. Like I said, expect a completely different look. But what I wanted to get at is I don't think you're going to see anything that you saw like from Sean Payton's days in New Orleans. And I don't think you'll see anything you'll like what you'll even see you saw Russell Wilson run in Seattle. I think this is something that's going to be formulated for today, off of the strengths of this team. When Sean Payton had Taysom Hill as quarterback or Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, he played to the strengths of the team and his players. And I'm just so excited to see exactly what that's going to look like. There's a lot of thoughts around it. Run first. We got guys coming up here. Play action as Kenny's coming in here. Yeah, a lot of play action. We think that's going to be a part of it too.
Yep.
But boy, I think that it could be. I think it could be really fun, exciting, and surprising to Broncos country, especially coming from where we've been for the last too many years. Albert, give me your thoughts on this scheme. What you're expecting, and am I wrong? Am I off base? The head nodding
No.
tells me no, but for
So
those audio only guys,
So here's the thing. Sean Payton builds a team and schemes around the best players he has. And if Drew Brees would be here, we would have a different offense than now with Russell Wilson. Sean Payton builds to the strengths of the team. Right now, I think he has his ultimate quarterback because he has now a Drew Brees and a Taysom Hill in one. With the Saints, he had to have two quarterbacks for certain plays.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has it combined in one, and I think he loves it. And it might not be looking that on paper or in the public, but internally, I believe he loves what he has now. And now with all the players around him, this is going to be an offense, if not this year, but definitely next year. If they stay the same as they are,
Mm-hmm.
that will make the Super Bowl. That is
Super
my
Bowl
prediction.
aspirations next year.
No, right now, this year, we will have playoffs aspirations and maybe more. But next year, Super Bowl aspirations.
I love it, buddy. I love it, and I like what you're saying there. You've mentioned that a couple times in the past. That with Russell Wilson, he has the combination that he never had, the combination that he tried to almost do with two QBs. And sometimes I wasn't really sure exactly what you were talking about, but I'm getting it now. The arm accuracy, the capability that Drew Brees had. Might have been a shorter stature quarterback, but played through all that. And, honestly, especially, we all get excited about when, Drew Brees could air it out, especially early in his Saints career. But towards the end, when they were still making playoffs runs, when they were still making Super Bowl runs, he was not that big arm quarterback. He didn't have it anymore. It was a little bit more underneath. A lot of what a lot of people are expecting from Russell Wilson. At the same time, Taysom Hill was that running QB, that guy that could take off, could tuck a ball, and could get yards. And yeah, from everything that Russell Wilson did in this offseason, from a preparation standpoint to get himself in shape, and probably one of the better, don't get me wrong, I saw him at the combine. He was looking pretty stacked then, but he is looking good and looking better than he has in years. I'll give him that. Looking like a guy that could take off and run with the ball. Looking like a guy that could be both that Drew Brees and that Taysom Hill, like you're talking about, Albert. And I like it. I get it, man. I see what you're seeing now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so. And Jared Stidham, he can do the same thing.
Yeah.
He has a pretty decent arm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely comparable with Drew Brees, and the running capability. Mm-hmm. And so he has now two quarterbacks who can do it. And guess what? Then there's Ben DiNucci, who can do the same thing.
Yeah, they all have that similar capability. Now, out of the three, I'm taking Russell Wilson running the ball.
Absolutely.
Out of the three, by far. But you're right. Stidham has shown a little bit of capabilities of that. But, hey, like you said, Sean Payton will always play to the strengths. If we ever had to move off of Russell Wilson this season, I do expect him to play to the strengths more of whoever comes in to relieve him. And it won't be the same as Russell Wilson. I got one question because we're coming up against it. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Albert. This is my own personal question. Didn't even have to rely on Kenny this time. That being said, I want to know what's the first offensive play of the game for the Denver Broncos. I also want to know, because it may not be the first offensive play, who does the first run go to? Who does the first pass go to? So first off, what's the first play of the game?
A pass to Dulcich.
Oh, I like it.
And,
And give me why.
So, because everybody will expect that the Broncos is going to be a run offense first, and Javonte Williams will be lining up, and so the entire defense will think, oh, it's going to be a run game, and Dulcich will take benefit from it.
Like it. So first pass goes to Mr. Greg Dulcich himself.
Yeah, Dulcich or one of the tight ends.
Yeah.
But I hope.
I'm not going to hold you to anything. Let's just keep it with Greg Dulcich. I like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And another reason I like that, hey, Adam Troutman's been getting a lot of press as being that, number one tight end listed on the roster. Greg Dulcich is kind of taking a back seat and it's been kind of quiet. That it's not as played up as it was last year about him being this big, tight end, going to be our savior in the receiving game. He's kind of taking a little bit back seat as of lately. And man, to get him right there involved, I like it, buddy. Okay. Greg Dulcich, tight end. And first running play goes to
Javonte Williams.
All right, buddy. I like it. Obviously in the same series as we go out, but I like it. Get a little play action maybe to a Greg Dulcich, and then get Javonte that ball and hand him the rock as well. And reasons are obvious, but I'll certainly let you state them. Why do you want Javonte to get that first round?
Yeah, to get his confidence in. Let's see if, because preseason is preseason, it is not as heavy played as a regular game. So yeah, get him that first snap in and let him get confident. Nice short run maybe, and get it up and let him make it. Let Javonte feel good for the first snap.
I like it, buddy. Michael Ronquillo coming in here. He says a run for running back Javonte Williams. I take it that's his first play as well, maybe. And then he says a catch for wide receiver Cortland Sutton, another guy that we would absolutely love to see, catch fire to start. Mm-hmm. The only thing I don't like about that is, if I remember right, we came out trying to force feed the ball to Cortland Sutton to start the year last year. I don't want to see it in that regard. You know what I mean? I don't want to make it that obvious that to our opponents and struggle, because of it, because I think that's exactly what happened. But I like the idea. Obviously, Javonte getting that ball, getting his, and that would be my call, getting Javonte the ball, even though they're going to be queued up, even though that they're going to want to stop him and stop the run all night long. I think that, hey, lining it up with what you just invested big time in, and two offensive linemen, you got all these tight ends on your roster. You want Javonte to be back and be that, that top 5, top 7 back that you were talking about, Albert. What better way than just line up and say, you know what, if we're going to do it this year, there's going to be times where they're going to know we're coming, and we got to push back, and we got to get the win. Love to see, a good 4-yard run out of Javonte on the first play. So that's going to be my call right there. And I'm going to be siding right on the side with Michael Ronquillo here. My first thought when I went to this was just getting Cortland Sutton involved. Here's a guy that struggled the last couple of years, and I tell you what, from everything I've seen from him, training camp, through even, I think it was just a couple of days ago when Denver Broncos posted up some media, and Cortland Sutton was featured in it, I guess you could say. The guy has... That's another guy is completely transformed. Guy looks like an absolute beast. He is stacked. He is ripped. And, boy, for him to go back to that guy that would go up, jump balls, rip them down, get that first down yardage, boy, that would just be absolutely, a game breaker for this Denver Broncos team and this offense. It would it would light a fire under what's capable in the offensive game. Excuse me. So, Albert, anything you got to say to our fantastic Denver Bronco Roundup fans or our Denver Broncos country before we get out of here on night before the game and
Yes.
before we kick off that ball tomorrow? This is the last time we see everybody.
Can I share a funny story?
Yeah, share a little funny story with us. Go ahead, buddy.
So I was in the Dutch military, and we had an exercise of throwing live grenades. So,
Sure.
you're standing behind a thick concrete wall, and then you pull the pin and you throw the grenade. So, and the drill sergeant who said, "Are you ready to throw it?" "Yeah, go ahead, pull the pin." And I pull the pin and says, "Whenever you're ready, go ahead and throw it." So I throw the grenade,
Mm-hmm.
and I ducked behind the wall. And that drill sergeant kept standing there. And I look at what is that idiot doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear the grenade explode, and I see the biggest smile on his face. And he says, "Can you do this again?" And I said, "What do you mean? Can you throw it that far again?" I threw it 61 meters. That is an equivalent of roughly 183 feet.
Yeah.
I threw the second grenade within 3 feet of the previous one.
Oh my goodness. Wow, Albert. We're gonna have to get some video of Albert hucking something around someday, man. That's all I gotta say, man. That would be fantastic. It'd be like those kicker videos that are always doing those stunt kicks. We'd have Albert out there, whipping it around, just surprising the heck out of everybody. Great story, Albert. Everybody got to know a little bit more about Albert. Albert just seemed like the sweet Dutchie that comes on here. Little did we know he was a grenade flinging, for 184 feet. Rocket arm, all-star goalie on top of it. I think we all learned a little bit today. I knew a little bit of that, I guess, but some of it was definitely a surprise. Albert, great show tonight, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go through, and if you guys don't mind, stick with us really quick. We appreciate it. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in here and saying, "Great show tonight, Keith and Albert." Appreciate you, Michael. Always a big supporter of ours, and not enough appreciation that I can actually show and bear out to you. I appreciate you guys so much. Kenny as well coming in here saying, "Great show as always, fellas." Thank you, Kenny, so much. Boy, like I said, we had new names in here like Travis. We've had Jeremy in here. We've had Clayton in here. Michelle in here. I'm trying to just remember names off the top of my head. Albert, if you have any more, feel free to throw it on. And then, guys, if you don't mind, just stick around. I'm going to hit our little bit about us.
Jorge and George,
yeah.
CS.
Yep, George jumped in here. Good to see George again. Appreciate him.
And Travis Johnson, James Blakey.
Oh, there you go.
Clayton, we already mentioned. Yeah, and Kenny, of course.
Yeah. All our great fans, all our great friends. We appreciate you guys so much, especially on short notice. Hey, this was an unplanned DBR show. Me and Albert threw this together. As, like I said, I was just too dang excited. Broncos country, we got a game tomorrow. It's against the Raiders. Man, it doesn't get much better than that. It's a rival. It's a level 8 game, not a level 3. Maybe 9, maybe 10, depending upon who you are, but not a level 3, I can tell you that. Guys, before we get out of here, just a couple of quick messages. Thank you for everybody for watching, listening to another great episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup. As always, we are presented to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. If you're wanting fantastic coverage of all of your favorite Colorado teams, check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for coverage on Avalanche, Broncos, Nuggets, and even Rockies. You can find them on YouTube, Facebook, and the newly formed X, or as formerly known as Twitter, and just by searching Rocky Mountain Sports Network or following the links if I ever throw them up. I'm not going to do them tonight. Sorry about that. Also, DBR fans, we have an incredible sponsor in Willow Seasonings and Blends. The barbecue season isn't over yet. It's just getting started, guys. It's just heating up, because I tell you what, barbecue season in winter, I love it better than barbecue season in summer when you're standing around in the heat, in the sun, around a hot object. Anyway, It's just heating up, so stock up on all your favorite rubs and your sauces by purchasing the best rubs and sauces from Willow Seasonings and Blends. Head over to willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. And when you're over there and you're checking out with everything all stacked up in there, and if you see that little box on the bottom that says promo code, do your little favor, everybody. Type in DBR 2023. That's DBR for Denver Bronco Roundup 2023. Get yourself 15% off. And also, guys, we have a family in need here over our Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Our fantastic sponsor, Willow Seasonings, over at willowseasonings.com. They've decided they're going to chip in $1 for every time that you use that code. So help a family out. Help yourself out with some great sauces and seasonings. And, man, go over to willowseasonings.com and spice up your life. Any final thoughts, Albert, before I jump on out of here? Or we jump on out of here?
I want to see your reaction on Kenny's question.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, he says, great stories, Albert. And are we going to do a post-game show tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good question. So, unlike most, I am a working man on Sundays. So I have to plan all that around. Stay tuned. I might be up for it. Albert, would you be up for it?
I am.
He is. Very good. Kenny, there might just be something in the works. For all of you guys out there, there might be something in the works. So stay tuned. It might just happen.
I want to ask a question. Maybe I'm going out of. If any of you wants to come on the show, let us know.
Wow. Got the personal invite from the Rocket Arm Dutchie himself. Guys, if you guys ever do want to join the show, feel free to reach out to us. We might talk to you a little bit before, and then, hey, bring on. Make sure that, we're all on the same page. We got to make sure that, we have our P's and Q's, our T's and I's all dotted. T's crossed, I's dotted. But, yeah, would love to have a guest on here, and especially a fan guest. That would be fantastic. Yeah. So, great call out, Albert. All right. I'm gonna try this again. Tried this on our last show. I got this new little outro that I'm doing, and it's my personal outro. So until we round up again, everyone, I want you to do this. I want you to keep your feet in your stirrups. I want you to keep your guns in your holsters. I want you to keep Broncos in your heart. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. See you next time.